Welcome to Archeotech Assimilation, where we discover and investigate the technology of the Imperium and the tools of chaos.
Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Archeotech Assimilation. This week we're looking at the newest Hammer and Bolter episode in the Garden of Ghosts. My name is John. I've got a bit of a croaky voice, but this week I'm joined by Shane with a less croaky voice.
Hello.
I'm going to hand over to Shane to do the rest of the video, and I'm going to sit here and smile at him.
Thank you, John. Nothing better than that for a quick review, Hammer and Bolter. So let's dive right into it, and we'll take our usual format. So as John said, we're looking at the latest episode in the Garden of Ghosts. A little bit of a nice change, I suppose, in that so far with Hammer and Bolter, it's been very Imperium or Imperial led, and this is the first one. I know there was obviously the one with the Tzeentchian demon, but it was still very Imperial. This one was very much more from the eyes of the Aeldari or the Elder, depending on when you joined the hobby, and so it's quite a nice change of pace. And as we go through it, we're introduced to the Aeldari Warlock, or someone that's traveling the Seer's path, named Locaris, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he's searching the ruins of the Craftworld, the spirit stones of those that were killed there. For those that maybe don't know what spirit stone is, it's a device the Aeldari use to capture their souls once their mortal frame is extinguished, so that they don't get captured by She Who Thirsts, because obviously they don't want to end up in Slaneshi hell. Who does? But he's able to look into the past by physically touching everything that's around him and seeing what the craft world was like when it was alive, as opposed to the battle-torn wreck that it is now. Eventually, he finds Versalia, who tells him that the old warrior sent her to fetch him. So we obviously there's a new character, and there's a third part to this somewhere. And they've been sent to collect spirit stones by the elders, but she wants to know what is Locaris actually hunting for, because he seems distracted and like he's looking for something else. But he doesn't really want to tell her. So far, she does push him, and he reveals that so far he's only found 2 undamaged stones, and in turn only 2 souls can be saved. And this is clearly a world that they've been to before. This is not, feels like it's not the first time that they've been back here. And then as they walk on, they find the remains of both Aeldari and Astartes, Ultramarines specifically, laying where they fell in battle. And it was clearly quite a pitched battle. As the episode develops, they do find the old warrior, the one that was mentioned earlier, Exar Comadia, and he tells them there's something more precious than spirit stone or a relic that is waiting to be rediscovered, and they come across a dead Avatar of Kane, the bloody-handed god, and he tells Locaris that he won't find what he's looking for unless he touches the Avatar. And every time he has tried to look into the past, his visions fade before they can really guide him. Whereas if he touches the Avatar, then the power within that's been burning will show him everything and lead him to what he is seeking. But there is a hint of menace that he kind of says as he reveals this. So you can see that there's trepidation, and that's where Versalia protests against this, because she also knows that he's going to have to look at the horrors of what happened around them. There are obviously the dead is everywhere, and again, anyone who knows the law, like taking down an Avatar of Kane is not the easiest thing. So this battle would have been quite something. Locaris goes ahead and touches it anyway, and you can see he's all instantly transformed and transfixed, almost goes glassy-eyed, and relives the battle between the Aeldari and the Ultramarines. And he also sees in the vision that he's having, he sees the old warrior watching him, and sees the old warrior's younger self join the battle. So the old warrior that's there and is talking to them, you understand that he was actually there when this combat, this battle originally happened. Really nice bits and pieces here, actually, as you can see from some of the screenshots. But it was really really cool seeing a battle from the side of the some Xenos, some Aeldari. It was nice seeing. There was a couple of bits of it I thought was really good. It was really good seeing the Adeptus Astartes and the Ultramarines, being very clinical and pretty killer. It was also interesting that they weren't the sympathetic heroes in this particular instance. But as I said, it was also cool seeing the Aeldari, particularly the striking Scorpions, fighting and being incredibly skillful against the Ultramarines. So it was again another good, or I thought a very good interpretation of the battles you might see in 40k. So I think that was quite nice. And there is a particularly great scene where the old warrior charges towards a Ultramarine Lieutenant and is blocked by his guard, before cutting them down and getting into a one-on-one. So I think what's nice about this as well is that this lieutenant is clearly very similar to what's was in the Indominus box set, what's in Imperium.
Product placement 101 isn't it? Like go and buy the toy.
Absolutely. And you look at it and go, what's quite interesting is that they are go and buy the toy, but in this instance, the lieutenant does not come out well. He does not come out well, and you think you do. And it's one of the things that was quite interesting about this episode when you think about Space Marines and how they're talked about and how they are, the Emperor's finest, elite killing machines, so on and so forth. A lot of them get taken out, and like really taken out. To the point where there's no, these boys aren't going to end up in dreadnoughts. They're gone. And that's quite interesting because, as I said, the elite fighting force that the Ultramarines and Space Marines in general are, in this particular episode, you see them getting wiped quick. And it wouldn't take much to take out a chapter if this was how quick the battles went. Anyway, back to the scene, the duel. As they face off, the Ultramarine calls him an alien, and the Aeldari calls him a barbarian. Also, interesting point here. I found that they used the word alien a lot rather than Xenos, and I thought, I don't know, my interpretation is that Xenos would have been their terminology. So alien, I don't know, felt a little bit out of place. But other than that, it was all good.
Well, I was thinking, do they not? I might be wrong, but I'm sure in Angels of Death, when Raphael's bashed through that wall, I'm sure he said something about kill the alien.
Yeah, but there is a thing. It's like it's like burn the heretic, kill the alien.
Yeah,
something like that. And that's
unclean.
Yeah, that's it. But that's the only bit that you tend to hear it. Then in all of the other bits of lore and stuff like that, they're always referred to as Xenos. So
maybe alien is like their slur, like their proper.
It could be. It could be. What I also didn't hear, which I was surprised about, is that obviously the Aeldari calls him a barbarian.
Oh, never called him a monkey.
We didn't get it, did we? Yeah, we didn't get monkey, and I was like, oh, that was a surprise as well. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So they get into it. We find out how the Aeldari striking Scorpion, the old warrior, gets his scarred eye.
Yep.
The Ultramarine pauses to gloat a little bit over his adversary, and he's saying that his Craftworld burns alien. Your people die this day.
Yeah.
And obviously he replies asking the Ultramarine how proud he must be in his ability to inflict such an atrocity.
Well, and this just goes back to, I mean, I've said it in almost every Libraris Omnis. These are supposed to be the good guys.
I know, right?
They're not, are they? Like, they came off as a bunch of arseholes.
Well, I think that's the key element there, right? It's I think I can't remember. Well, Luton at least with his lore channel says it pretty regularly. There are no good guys in 40k. The closest you might get is the Tau, but even they've got some sketchy stuff going on. But yeah, every other faction, there's no good guys here. Like this is all nasty stuff. It all depends which lens you're watching it through. But as you quite rightly said, like in this particular instance, that the lieutenant, the rest of the Marines, all of that, they do not come off well.
No, they really don't. Even like as cool as that Dread was when he turns up, and the way like he's obviously spewing out the whatever it is he's saying, there's war chants. I thought it was really cool, but everything he's saying, you're like, I'm glad you're not coming towards me.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. And as you said, that dreadnought, he does rock up, takes out a load of the Aeldari, and then in return the Avatar. This is where the Avatar of Kane starts kicking in as well. He arrives, like cuts in half, wipes out a load of other Ultramarines. I can't remember if it's this bit or just in a bit, but he obviously throws his sword as well and just
as he's
eviscerates,
dying.
a load of them.
I was surprised how they took him out just by like 50 people just constantly shooting at him.
So you got to remember, so how the Avatar of Kane is constructed is it's a exarch or aspect warrior that is then like imbued. So underneath it all, it is just still it was a normal Aeldari. It's not like the god himself. And there is it's fairly well known that like a lot of stories, Black Library and stuff like that, they will talk a lot about how the Avatar of Kane is really, really hardcore, but they always seem to roll him out and let him get beaten by someone, to use wrestling parlance, to put them over.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of like, we want to show how badass someone is. We'll roll out an Avatar of Kane and he can defeat that, and that will show how good he is. But the trouble is if you're always defeating the Avatar of Kane, then they start looking weak.
So he's like the Big Show.
That is less turns, but yes. For those of you that are into wrestling, I apologise for that slight tangent. But anyway, he soon gets outnumbered, as I said. It gets like a weld of bolter fire, high explosive rounds pumped into him. As we mentioned, flings his sword to cut down a load of them in the last dying bit. And the old, I said at this point, the older warrior, but his younger self, sort of commands his squad in saying that obviously the Avatar is dying to allow us to escape, because there's kind of a moment where they're considering fighting on, and then like he obviously sees sense and the reasoning behind the sacrifice. Locaris keeps running through the battle, seeing what's happened, until he finds his parents, his father in full armor and mother carrying him as a child. We make this connection, but obviously, you don't see it. Well, you don't necessarily see it coming, and you're like, oh, hang on, that's the two of them. She puts him down and tells him to run, don't look back, before standing and facing the oncoming Astartes. Dad gets shot in the stomach, dies pretty quick, as an Astarte marches up and grabs her by the throat, again calling her an alien dog, I believe, in this instance, and then basically just choking her to death and flinging her against the wall. Pretty dismissive. But Locaris, obviously back in the real world as well, or modern day, he finds her body as he's followed this all through, and finds the intact spirit stone, and so recovers it intact, drops it into his little pouch, and you then realize that yes, he was here to recover any spirit stone, but he was particularly here for this one. For one way or another, he was drawn to this to find his mother's spirit stone. And then we see a bit, well, in the next scene, he's looking at a Wraith Guard construct, which is a bit like the Aeldari Dreadnought, I suppose, in that rather than it being powered by a mortally wounded Astartes and an amniotic sac, it's actually powered by the soul of a dead Eldari captured in the Spirit Stone, and so he puts his mother's Spirit Stone into the Wraith Guard, and you can see like she effectively wakes up, but is, you know, completely disembodied. So you hear her saying it's cold, like doesn't feel the same she was, you know, the way before, but they are reunited, and it's as touching a moment as you're going to get in the grim future of 40k. And then I think other than that, I mean, that was pretty much the episode in a nutshell. As I said, for me, well, I'll tell you what, John. Why don't we come over to you first? What bit? Any standout bits? Any bits?
I was going to say, like? I think this is probably my favourite episode of Hammer and Bolter.
Interesting.
I really liked it. I said it to Glenn because we were going to do this earlier or yesterday, and I said I think this is one of my favourites, and he went, "Really?" But then we never expanded on it.
Yeah, I did see that.
To know what I'm not seeing, but yeah, I liked the seeing it from a side that we haven't seen anything from yet.
Yeah,
and a side that I don't really know too much about. I think the most I've read about them is in Fulgrim in the small part.
Oh yes, Eldrad. Yeah, of course.
And I like the fact that the Astartes, we weren't like, not every time, like the Angels of Death, we're on the Astartes side, like there's no question about it, and we're fighting aliens. These guys, like, you're immediately sympathetic to the Eldari's cause, especially when you find out what he's actually there looking for.
Yeah.
And seeing like the war and the way these guys just walks up, and they know that there's clearly women and children. Well, the women are warriors as well, but there's clearly still children on here, and they're just hosing them down.
Yeah.
So I really liked it. I really liked the way everything come off, and you've seen it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
And I liked how it was gory. I wasn't expecting it to be so gory. Like when that guy gets his head, the top of his head cut off, and he falls back, and you see his brain. I thought that was a nice touch. I enjoyed that.
They are. I think the last couple have been particularly visceral. But as I said, I enjoyed that. I think I can kind of see where Glenn's coming from. So it's not my favourite episode. I think that I can fairly say that. However, I don't think it's bad. I think it's really good. I particularly enjoyed. Like, I really liked all the battle elements. I liked the fight. You know, I liked that interplay between Eldari and Astartes. I liked seeing the Astartes as, you know, very. In fact, how they would be on the battlefield, very remorseless and very kind of like almost robotic to a degree, zealots in a way. Like the Dreadnought was very much in that kind of niche or area. I think the bits that I think it took a while to get. Well, it didn't take a while to get going, but I think the beginning bit was maybe laboured a little bit. I wasn't overly keen on the Warlock himself in terms of his animation style and his look.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about it was not Elder enough for me. It wasn't Eldari enough. I think the Visalia and I think the Striking Scorpion Exarch, I think they were actually pretty good. And I think once they got into that and they got into the Striking Scorpions and stuff like that, it was pretty good. But the Warlock, Lucaris, for whatever reason, there was some dissonance there in that I saw him and I was like, he didn't feel like an Eldari to me.
So I thought that the first time I watched it, I thought this guy's a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah. Until
it got to the point when you realise why he's there.
Yeah.
Which is until the end of the episode, to be fair, until the very end when he finds the soul state. Then it's like, well, that makes sense. Or until he sees his mum and dad die. When I watched it the second time, knowing that, I thought, actually, I think his arc's probably the best because he's there, he's sort of wandering around aimlessly looking for his mum and dad, clearly, picking up these soul stones. Yeah. I didn't like her. I thought she was a pointless character. And he could have just walked up to the old warrior and done it without her. And she was just there to naysay, I think.
Yeah.
But I liked the complete sort of, it's a bit of a convenient happy ending, the fact that he's gone he's found 2 soul stones, and the third one he finds actually happens to belong to his mum.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and if you can ignore that bit, I liked the fact that it was like, why is it like, what was his ulterior motive? Because when he was going to touch that avatar, even though she was saying don't do it, I thought maybe there was something a bit more sinister. But I quite liked it.
That's what I thought. I thought because he was like a warlock and on the path to see it, I thought something maybe more sinister was gonna,
Yeah,
you know, like he was gonna have some challenge, you know, psychic challenge was gonna present itself.
yeah,
It's fine that it did. As I said, and maybe I'm being, it's very, to my opinion on it is very subjective.
right,
Like it is just because I didn't like the design of the character,
right.
I've kind of knocked it down a couple of marks. But again, that's just me. As I said, I think if you can, it's easy to look past it because, as I said, by the end of the episode, I still really enjoyed it. It was just, I think, for that opening couple of minutes, that
He
was the hardest bit.
didn't he? It was weird the way he walked. It was a bit more of a float around.
Yeah.
The animation. It was like old school He-Man in a way. It was really disjointed from the background, but then it changed once he was in the vision. So
Again, that was it. I think as soon as you got to the vision part, that's what I mean. And then I felt like it was really good. So it was almost like an episode of 2 halves for me. I think the first, not even because obviously more of the episode is the battle and his vision. So there's more good than bad.
yeah.
But that's the only reason, you know, one of the reasons that it's not my favorite episode. But at the same time, it's still a very good episode.
Yeah.
And what I liked was, as we've sort of talked about, is that different angle that we haven't had yet.
Yeah. And that fight with the lieutenant and the old warrior, you can't beat that. That's probably the best, even though it was animated and a bit, you know, the way these are animated where they're not complete movement. I think that was a really, really good little fight, especially when he like surprises him and the blood comes out of his eyes, and you can see like even then he looks so angry that he's been killed.
That's it. He can't quite believe it.
Yeah.
It's it is good though. Like as I said, it's and as you said, very good product placement.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But,
I was playing with the toy when he was there. I was like, yeah,
I've got him.
yeah.
My one's less of an arsehole, but I've got him.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean that's it. That was the episode in the Garden of Ghosts. Did you get any other bits and pieces you wanted to cover off about it?
No, I don't think so. I think that's all I wrote down. The only thing, I don't know what we're going to get next. Like,
no, that's true. That is true. I don't know what's up next. I can't remember what they had on the sizzle reel.
But that was only 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6.
Maybe we go back to Angels of Death. Maybe that's what's going to come next.
Maybe. I'm sure.
We haven't had a Lore Masters in a while, or a Battle Report.
Maybe I'll be that then.
Yeah.
Give us a week off.
I think, but you know, they've done it before, so that might be what happens.
Well, the only thing I'll say then is, this is the last video on Monday, because this will come out Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Monday is our battle report. The first Island
battle
report.
But yeah, looking forward to that one. Well, I mean, looking forward to seeing it. I know the result. Spoiler alert. Not going to go into that again. But all very, absolutely. Well, check that out. If you're watching this and you want to check out our first efforts at Battle Report, please do follow along with that, because as I said, it's I think we did a good job of recording it, but putting it together. But we're also willing to learn, so any feedback is appreciated, and we can obviously learn from that as well. If you want to find that, obviously it will be on the channel on Monday, and you can find us on pretty much every channel, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all good podcast services, Twitch, Patreon, by searching Iron and Ceramite, and you find us there. Obviously, if you are on Patreon and you do want to give us a sub, all of that money goes back into the channel, and obviously we're incredibly grateful for anything that is donated that way. Similarly with Element Games, if you are buying stuff for the hobby, if you are topping up on paints, if you are buying some new brushes, if you're getting yourself a Primaris Lieutenant or a Striking Scorpion, wanted to reenact it, go for it. Use our link. We get a bit of a kickback. You would have been buying it anyway, and again, that money goes into helping the channel out. So we do appreciate everyone that uses those links. And then, of course, if you are, I keep saying it, but if you are on combat cards, you can join the clan and see how you get on.
I'll start playing again today.
I did see you joined in there and a message. You may have a chance of catching Glenn this month, although there's only a couple of days left of this season's.
I'll just open some packs, I think, and then wait for the new month.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's only got a couple of days, so we'll see how we go. Anyway, you can find us there. As I said, search Iron and Ceramite. You'll find us, particularly prevalent on Instagram as well. Hashtag Iron and Ceramite. If you do put us in your post for any of the new work you've done, whether it be work in progress painting or just cool miniatures, we will of course share you on the channel as well. But otherwise, that's been it. That's our Hammer and Bolter review at the Garden of Ghosts. Hope you enjoyed it, and share, subscribe, and check out our other videos.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
As always, we would like to thank you for listening to our Iron and Ceramite podcast. If you liked us, then you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any other good podcast services. Just remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.